Hi YouTube. A friend of mine asked me to fix a problem for him at one point with his Excel sheet, and basically the issue was where he had a chart table like this. Um, some of his most of his rows were empty, and he had some duplicates. The point was that he wanted me to fix for him was how to have a separate table that would pull from the first one, but it would automatically take out the empties and not show the duplicates. So what I'm going to show you is first make an example of the problematic table, and now we're going to fix it. So how do you do that? Well, first you could just select the whole thing. You use the data tab to put the filter on it, which I have here, and then you can't see my dialog box on the Xbox green bar, but you would be able to deselect blanks or use a filter to take out blanks. But that's the manual way of doing it, and I don't think if you would add more data down further with mistakes, it wouldn't recycle the filter. Maybe it would, but anyways, how do we make it so that someone who doesn't know how to use a filter will have it done automatically for them? So first, what we do is we're gonna need a bunch of helper columns. So first column is going to be our index, because it's going to produce indexes, and basically it's going to give us a number, an index number, if this is a valid line, and that's going to be dependent on questions we're going to ask in columns G through I. If you have one column per criteria, then further over here we're going to have our result table. So let's get started. Let's get rid of these filters. Let's make this nice. I manually colored this. Doesn't matter. Okay. First, what's our formula? Equals. Well, our index formula is going to count how many. It's going to count of how many cells in G through I are all true. So I should probably do the criteria formula first, and then do the index afterwards. So this is going to be if, let's just say, salesperson, if it's blank. If is blank. If that cell is blank, then I know the whole thing's blank. Or what you might want to do is not B2, but let's say, let's say this cell E2. If maybe the person, maybe you put the agent in, but you didn't put an amount or something like that. That's more common, let's say. So if it is blank, I don't want to count it. So I could put a 1. Let's just say we want to count zeros, not ones. So because it has to be binary. I could do anything with this and not that, but I'm going to use zeros and ones, and 0 is going to be our means fits criteria. If it's not blank, then I want a 0. By the way, I think if you press Control instead of Enter when you finish your formula, it keeps you in the same cell. So there's our one that is blank. Now, here we do equals if sum of these cells is greater than 0, then nothing. If you do nothing, then it's just going to give you 0. I want it to be a blank, so I have to give double quotes. If it's not greater than 0, that means they're all true. Then this is the cool part. How do we tell it to index, to count the indexes? Max of A1 through A1. Lock on the first one to keep it at the top, and the next one is going to drag down with us, and it's going to take the max plus 1, and that's how we can climb our index. As you can see, that's a 1, then 2, then it skips over there. That's how that works. So you can see every subsequent criteria that we put in. This is watching for blanks. These should not be formatted color, because this is just the functionary. This would be hidden in a finished product. These cells. You might even want to hide this column in a finished product. This is going to be asking for duplicates. Again, I don't know why it wants to make it green. Okay. And in the third column, we're going to ask for greater than. Oh man, I don't know why he keeps doing that. Duplicates. This is one of our more fun formulas. Equals some product. This equals. Actually, how do I do this? I forget. B2 through B2. First one, lock. That way, it's only looking for it and above it, which is going to basically ask. What it's asking is, does this cell equal any cell above it, including itself, more than once? So this equals B2. B2 equals B2 through B2. You have to close the parentheses whenever you do an independent logical expression in a sum product. Now, to convert that to mathematical, do times 1. Because if it's false, it's 0. So it's just going to give us a 1 if it's true. But it's going to look at it. It's going to match. It's going to compare itself to itself. So therefore, we have to do minus 1, because we only want one duplicate. If not itself being its own duplicate, it doesn't count. So minus 1. But now we also want to do. Now I forget if we can, because this minus 1 goes outside the parentheses. I'm pretty sure. That shows 0. And I should get a 1 over here, because agent 6 is duplicated, and it's just followed up with because of these. So that works. But the question would be, let's say you have two salespersons, twice the same salesperson selling two different things, or a separate sale, right? So how would you ask if it's not just this way? So you would probably, let's see. Now you're working with me. I could do two sum product formulas. Is there a way to do it together? Because what I want to do is like this. B2 equals, C2 equals C2, like that. That's going to give us 2 times 2. Let's see actually. No, that works still. Why does that work? You're not going to be able to see the evaluate formula, but let's see. V2 agent 1 equals that, and that equals that. It's true. Try the next one. False, true. I'm not sure. It's giving me a 1 because it's a 1 times 1 and a 0 times 1. That's how this formula evaluates, because this equals this. This does not equal that, but this does equal that. So it's sort of doing it's turning them into arrays. Which is not working, which is not going to tell me if they're. Because I wanted to show me over here. Wait, that kind of did work. Yes, it did work. I think my formula worked. So now what I have to do is do the whole thing minus 1, and oops, I have to duplicate this. You would duplicate this. For every column, C, D, and change these to D, and this is to E. It's a little bit laborious, but that's what you would do. And that way, it's only if the whole thing is a duplicate that it counts out as a duplicate. Otherwise, that's that. Greater than is a much easier formula. This equals if. You don't have to do it even if. You do that greater than. And right now, I'm actually going to do a hard code. I'm going to do I'm going to do cell reference instead of a type in. That way, right now it's greater than nothing, so it says true. This should evaluate to a 1. Did yes? So here, let's just say 500. False. Right? And I'm going to do a not. Equals not. And times 1. to make it mathematic. And there we go. So that's all of our helper columns. Now let's get to our VLOOKUP. So we're going to need a hidden row at the top with 2, 3, 4, and so on. Those are going to be our VLOOKUP column references. Here is the formula for, it's a VLOOKUP for, it's going to ask if VLOOKUP that in there actually going to do an if error, not an if. If error that one false. I think 0 is false. That's the value. If error blank there. There we go, perfect. Now we do if that is not blank, because I'm not going to do 0. If it's greater than 0, a blank is considered greater than 0. So if it's not blank, then VLOOKUP that, hold on to the column reference, look it up in including the index in there, lock that in, column and index, hold on to the row number and exact match, close up. Actually, I should not accept that because I want to finish the if statement. If it's not greater, if it is a blank, then give me a blank. Very good. And now I can just take this and extend these two further. And there we are. You would hide this. You could add more columns here for criteria, which I'm not going to do now. Let me just show you how that is dynamic. Well, first, you also would want to move this somewhere else. Maybe may want to add this type of header. Yes, I want to replace it. And paste and paste formula formatting. Very nice. I think that's it. Yeah, so you start off with your input. As a finished product, I would actually make the output table on a separate sheet. I'm trying to show you how this works, so I'm not doing that. You have your indexing formula, which asks if the values are they fit the criteria, then index it with this formula here. You have asking if it's blank. You have a duplicate. This one is the more complicated formula, which I'm not going to explain how it works. And you have the greater than, which is a simple logical question. And you have this VLOOKUP. asking if the index exists, then look it up. This asks if the index, again, the same thing, and there you are.